This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
This episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by The Athletic, premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Listeners of this podcast can save 30% off the first year of an annual subscription by going and visiting theathletic.com/DSP. All the hosts here, we read The Athletic every single day. They got writers covering all the major events in Detroit sports, and this fall, they got writers dedicated to covering Michigan and Michigan State. Definitely check out The Athletic. Go visit theathletic.com/DSP to subscribe and save.
Oh my God!
Welcome into episode 42 of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast. On today's show, it's jam-packed. We've got a major superstar coming back just in time for Summerslam. What's going on with Matt Hardy? We've got the answers we're going to tell you. What happened to Johnny Impact? I've got the scoop there. And Big Cass is returning to the Indies, and we've got his new name that he's going to be wrestling under. As always, we'll be reviewing Smackdown and Raw, and doing this with me. He is the man. He is the myth. He is the legend. He is the one, the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's going on, cuz?
Yeah, baby, I'm excited. What's going on?
And the beast, huh?
Yes. I am the beast, John Macaroon. Looking forward to talking wrestling with you, sir. Always enjoy breaking down Raw and Smackdown. I definitely got enjoyment watching wrestling this week. Obviously, one show was tilted in terms of the way it was presented and what was the outcomes of the shows. But this week, I enjoyed watching wrestling. I got a chance to sit down, just a little bit less expectations, less going on around the house. The weather was so hot that you get a chance to watch some wrestling. So I enjoyed Raw. I enjoyed Smackdown. It was a good week of wrestling.
They were both pretty good this week.
Yeah, and they were hyped very well, too, because I wanted to see what Ronda Rousey was going to look like. I wanted to see how the build is going to continue for Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. I want to see how the mid-card guys like Elias and Finn Balor are being utilized and things like that. So all in all, I can't wait to talk wrestling with
That's
you.
a brutal statement right there. Finn Balor.
Finn Balor's mid-card. He's mid-card. That's
You're right.
Firmly planted in the mid-card. That's where they're putting him. And I don't think he's going to stay there too long, but that's where he's at.
You're absolutely right. So we opened up Raw with a bit of a promo. Roman Reigns comes down to the ring. This all turns into a Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin match. I liked it. Thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was a whole lot to do about nothing because Roman's kind of in this weird spot where he can't do a whole lot because the guy who he's fighting is never on Raw. I mean, good golly, Brock Lesnar showed up for the first time in 3 months last week. So that's what it was. I'm really interested in the Drew McIntyre-Dolph Ziggler match that took place. Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler pinned Seth Rollins. A little bit of controversy here as who was the legal man. As this is kind of continuing on, it makes me raise the question, does this match need something else to make it more interesting? And when we get to SmackDown, I'll bring up a prime example of how this could work. But does this match feel like it needs a little something to kind of boost it? Because every single week we get Drew McIntyre or we get Dolph Ziggler or we get both going against Seth Rollins, and it's just been kind of a lot of the same back and forth, back and forth.
I don't think it needs a whole heck of a lot more. I think you got two guys that are ready to have a better match than they've had in the past. I think what they're doing is they're trying to definitely put in our minds the possibility that Seth Rollins could win. They're trying to put in our minds that, what influence will Drew McIntyre have on this matchup. I think it's going to be a good, solid matchup, and it'll be fine. I think that what's most important is that Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler bring the house down. They got to have a good match, and whatever happens, whoever keeps the belt, they're both worthy. I think they're both on a really great level right now. They're both taking the material and doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, Drew McIntyre probably is going to have some kind of role in it. Do you then maybe have Drew McIntyre cost Seth Rollins the matchup, and then you go on with an elevated feud there. I think that would work for both guys, with maybe Drew McIntyre jumping off of that point into main event status off of Seth Rollins. But I don't think the match needs it. What do you think is missing? Like, it's just, you're not interested as much as you thought you'd be?
It's like this. It's copy and paste for me right now. It's a lot of the same. Like, so great match with Seth Rollins.
Not the
Drew
best setup
McIntyre.
for you.
Great match with Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins. Great match in a handicap match between Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins. It's always great matches, so that's not the issue. There just needs to be something else to kind of bring it up another notch for me. Gotcha. Like I said, when we get to SmackDown, I'll make reference to this.
Now, the one thing, though, with Raw that they got to stop doing is they got to stop featuring Roman Reigns in, like, 5 segments a show.
Yes,
just a promo and a match.
Everything.
A promo and a match is all I need. But with that promo by Roman Reigns was the scene of, I think, the year, where he's going and people are cheering him. He's done a good job slowly turning the tide. WWE has to get credit for that. They've made Brock Lesnar the heel, and they've made Roman Reigns the guy that likely, I guess, could be cheered if he does take down the title. But he's, done with the promo. He comes out. He's slapping high five with everybody, and the girl in seat 1, the best seat in the house. I thought it was great.
You love this. You even tweeted it.
It was great. He's going, all of a sudden she puts her hand out, and boom, too slow. And I thought it was great in that she kind of made herself, relevant. She got over.
Here's a question for you.
That was cool.
Do you think, because over the last week or two, it seems like the crowd is changing a little bit. And
They're
now
cheering
it's becoming
him,
more pro-Roman.
Yeah.
Instead of how it used to be, where it was very anti-Roman. Is WWE piping this in for television viewers, or do you think?
No, I think it sounds, because
it's legit.
Well, at least there was a sign that was. I don't know if you saw that still moment where there's a sign that said, "I'm here to see Roman." Mm-hmm. People are starting to.
He does have his fans. It just overwhelmingly, the more vocal group are the naysayers.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if WWE, for the television viewer at home, are piping in the pro Roman sounds, because that's what they do.
Yeah,
if you've ever gone back and you watch some of the YouTube stuff, they cut stuff that actually took place.
Yeah.
And then they will sit there and they will dub over with other sounds.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering.
I'll definitely pay attention to it.
Yeah, think about that. Because when I was watching, I was like, wow, this is a really, really pro-Roman crowd tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of, it was shocking to me. It was very shocking. It was like, in like a matter of a week. And last week, too. Last week was very pro-Roman. I was like, this is nuts. All right, so the Leaders of World basically replaced the partners of the Revival and the B team while those two teams were having a match. I thought this was a great way to use the lights dim down and you get the from the Leaders of the World. They show up on the opposite ends of the ring where the partners of the Revival and the B team should be. I see this spilling over into a triple threat match for the tag belts at SummerSlam. Are you on board?
I feel like based on the way that the angles have been set up, it sets up perfectly for a 3-way matchup. The Deletos of World, the Revival, and B Team, they could have a really solid matchup, some wild moments. I would expect at least 1 or 2 like whoa moments. But coming away from that, probably with how the angles have been played out and what we've seen, the Revival would need to win it. Because the B Team got their run. It's a nice, cute story, but the best tag team, the one that you want to hype up right now, is the Revival. And then you could just play off another feud with the B Team going forward, or the Deleters, or you could continue a feud with the Deleters of Worlds. But I do think the Revival needs the belt. They need some rub from that, from a title win.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So I misspoke earlier. I'm going to make reference to the Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins right now.
Gotcha.
So Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, they end up beating Sasha and Bayley, and it's with the help of a hooded figure. Now, the hooded figure turns out to be Ruby Riott.
Returning. It was good. A good pop.
Exactly. So this match was okay. It wasn't bad. I'll be honest with you, I was really bored through most of it. And it wasn't because of their work. I was just like...
a little bit long.
I was just, how many times can we watch this match continue to go? And that's kind of where I'm at with the Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins feud. Like, how many times can I watch the same thing? How many times can you keep spoon-feeding me the same exact material? Enter Ruby Riott, who is now back from injury. The moment she showed up, I was glued. I was excited. I was like, awesome. This is great. She reinvigorated this feud, and I think it is awesome, and it's just at the right time because, like I said, I was starting to kind of wane on it. I was starting to feel really bored, and I was like, okay, cool. I've seen this 8 times already. I don't need to see it again. Ruby Riott's back now, and now I'm interested. I'm like, okay, cool. Where are we going? I'm back on board. I've jumped on the bus. I got my ticket. And I want to see where we're headed next.
So would a returning Dean Ambrose be enough of a pop for you?
I think so.
Yeah.
And that's where I wanted to take it.
Good pop moment.
That's exactly where I want to take it.
You know what? You need a swerve. You need to have Dean Ambrose come in and just
save it,
drop a bomb.
Save it,
Yeah.
save it, because I want to talk about that in news and notes. Because
there's some talk.
That's save it.
Oh.
All right, cool. We'll put a pin in that. All right, Ronda Rousey destroys Alicia Fox. What did you think of Ronda's performance?
Okay, now this is probably going to be not popular among the listeners, but okay, I understand Ronda Rousey's being protected. She's not going to have 8-minute matches right away. It was overall, it was entirely, I monitored it. It was 4 minutes long. The match was 2. Stalling a little bit with the in and outs and things like that. Now, people are definitely giving credit to Alicia Fox for being the one that put over Ronda Rousey, that there's a reason why she was chosen to be the girl to take the loss to Ronda Rousey. But in the end, Ronda Rousey's character, the way it's built as a monster, is fine. The way it's being portrayed, she's over. But she can't sequence moves together. Like, she can't go from an armbar to a roll-up. It's basically now, when you've seen it for the 4th and 5th and 6th time, you're seeing the same thing. It's a couple slams on the shoulder. It's a couple arm roll-ups. It's the armbar. It's her storming to the ring and not much else.
Judo hip toss.
Yeah, I'm not exactly impressed with the wrestling acumen, because it's been a long time. And if you're wrestling since January, and you would presume that she's been training for a little bit prior to the beginning of the year, I think she needs to be further along. And it kind of doesn't make me want to believe that she's going to be champion. And so it puts them in a confusing spot, because it would lead everybody to believe she's going to win the title. Her promo works great. Her anger behind the scenes is great. But is she worthy of being champion? No, she can't put moves together. She can't put a match together. So do you want to book her as a destroyer that can't wrestle? It's complicated, but it was a C for me. But I like her character in theory. I just don't like the fact she can't wrestle.
So I thought
She can't wrestle.
I thought this match was okay. All right, I wasn't overly impressed. I wasn't floored that it was awful. I think it was good. I think the way the internet reacts to things is really weird to me sometimes, because everybody was praising this, like heaping tons and tons of praise on it. When I watched it, there was a major botch in this. There was a point where she went to the ropes to address Alexa Bliss, and she was waiting for Alicia Fox to get back into the ring, and she's looking at the referee, and Alicia Fox comes running at her. The referee kind of steps in the middle for no good reason, because the match is going on.
Yeah.
It takes Alicia out of the way. So then Alexa Bliss could do a move to Ronda Rousey. So major botch early in the match. If you go back and watch it,
Okay.
you'll see it now that I mentioned it to you.
Yeah.
So there's still some things that have to be fine-tuned. What I will say is I think she gets better every time she goes out there. And I think you're right. She can't put a wrestling match together. Like, she can't sequence the moves like you said. And she's kind of limited. Her being limited is better than what Brock Lesnar is limited to, though.
Yeah.
And is sometimes better than what Roman Reigns is limited to. And better than what John Cena is limited to. Because you're right. It's punch, 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 judo hip toss, arm bar, I got you, I'm angry, mad face, sad face, I'm going to destroy you, judo hip toss. And you're spot on with all of that. All right? But I think she's growing into this role. And for her first match on Raw, I thought it was good, and I think Alicia Fox was the perfect person for her to go up against. And I want to give some credit to Alicia Fox as well. I like Alicia Fox with the short hair, how she's being repackaged, and how she's coming out. I need her to be a little bit more serious, less, like we said last week, scary, screamy girl, less of that, more serious. I can get on board with Alicia Fox that way. So I thought it was good. It wasn't great.
Wasn't great. Exactly.
I think the thing that was great about Raw, though, was Paul Heyman,
yes.
and his sit-down promo with Renee Young.
People loved it.
He was red-eyed, looked like he had been crying all day, face unshaven. He looked physically distraught, and at a certain point, he even made reference to Brock isn't going to like this, like almost terrified that Lesnar's going to come breaking through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man and grip up Paul Heyman.
Best way to do it. It was best part of Raw.
It was awesome.
It was very awesome.
He was in this isn't so there's wrestling acting and then there's like acting. This was like almost an Emmy award-winning performance.
A lot of people even said Oscar-worthy. That was great, that the way he portrayed it, the emotion. And that's what Paul Heyman brings to the table. That's why he's been around for so long, is that he can elicit emotion. He can tell a story that he wants to tell. And And kudos to Renee Young. You know, you have to also have a good interviewer and somebody that's kind of
dance.
Somebody that's come along and is someone that you want to see do interviews. Charlie, not so much. I mean, I think it was on
She's
SmackDown.
very wooden.
Yeah, where I think it was Ronda. Was it Ronda Rousey was being interviewed, and it was with Alexa Bliss.
It was with Alexa Bliss.
Yeah,
Alexa Bliss and Alicia Fox.
Yeah, and they just were like, "Okay, Charlie, you're done." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? I don't want you to leave because I like that flower dress you had on." But nothing that she was saying was captivating to me. I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
you know, exactly." She was just worthy of being dismissed. That's where Charlie's at, and Renee Young is the star of the show.
Yeah. Overall, what were your thoughts on Raw?
Overall, it's building towards SummerSlam. I enjoyed it. I liked the way that WWE's been utilizing Elias. I told you, the Bobby Roode match didn't need really to be there on Raw. It didn't.
So hold on.
I'm like Mojo Raw. I'm like, what? These guys need to be on the main event.
Let's lift the curtain a little bit. So the Mojo Rawley Bobby Roode match is going on, and you text me. You say
this should be on the main event.
Yeah, and I read it as this should be the main event, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about?
All right,
and you're like, you know, the show, main event, and I was like, oh, thank God, thank God. I was like, what did I miss here? Because I'm watching the same thing you're watching, and this should not be the main event.
No,
this was totally boring and awful.
Exactly. I was like, main event of Raw? Yeah. No, I'm like, this should be the main event of the main event show.
So me and you had a good laugh about that, but yeah, I was like, what are we talking about here?
It was terrible.
Yeah, I thought Raw was good. It was better than
weeks past.
Exactly.
But still, it is what it is.
Again, a build to SummerSlam.
And then we get to Tuesday Night SmackDown Live, and it was wow. To kick it off with that promo, Randy Orton, he comes out and he's like, look, I'm going to destroy all your favorite stars, and I'm going to love doing it. And he just was like, wow, you can see a guy.
Serious.
He was serious and believable. Like, he finally was like, finally, you guys gave me something that I can chomp on. And when you finally get a program that the character and the wrestler likes, you get this. Yeah. And Randy Orton loves this. He loves being the villain. He loves being a guy that's going to come out and say, look, Jeff Hardy, I'm sorry, I'm going to destroy you. Mm-hmm. And then the next person, I'm going to destroy you. You've now reinvigorated Randy Orton. His promos are great. It's so awesome. The material's great. It was an unbelievable way to kick off SmackDown. I'm like, oh, I could deal with this. This is good.
In my notes, I have that he is a psychopath.
Yeah,
like, the way he delivered that promo and the way he cut into everybody, including the fans, leads me to believe that when he leaves the ring, he's going into the back and he's going to feast on small children.
Yes.
He is, it seems like he is crazy. And he even said, he's like, you can call me the Legend Killer. You can call me the Viper. You can call me this. You can call me that. He's like, I'm RKO.
Serious, and I'm going to handle business.
And like
Jeff Hardy,
the mic. It was awesome.
He's going to be destroyed.
It was awesome.
Welcome to retirement, Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, it was great. So Charlotte and Becky, they have a match. They have to team to take on the Iconics. I thought this was really good. The Iconics come out to a lot of boos, and this is boring, but they have a great line in there where they tell Becky that she will be in the same place that she's always been when it comes to SummerSlam, and that's in the shadow of Charlotte Flair. And I thought it was so poignant. I thought it was perfect.
Good, like behind the scenes stuff.
Exactly.
Like a little bit of real stuff.
This leads me to this question, though. Is Charlotte the female version of Roman Reigns? Charlotte is always thrust into the spotlight. She's always in the title match. She is the one who basically WWE wants to carry the entire women's division. She is the one who's always being pushed out in front when you have somebody who, I'm going to be honest with you, I was really looking forward to the Becky Lynch Carmella match. I thought when they tangled the other day, I thought it was a really good match. It was the best match that I've seen Carmella do in a long time. Now you're going to incorporate Charlotte with Becky and Carmella, and I am totally not interested. I'm not invested. You totally made me less invested by putting her in there.
I think you have the wrong comparison. I think I understand what you're saying is that you're not invested. I think if you want to compare her to one of the male wrestlers, it's Brock Lesnar, meaning Charlotte has earned her spot. I mean, she's had quality matches. She's been the champion.
But she shows up.
Yeah, but she shows up. That's not the other thing. That's not the point. It's not her showing up. It's the fact that she's been thrust to a position of power maybe for too long, and she's not putting as many people over as she should. But she has put people over, but unfortunately,
she put Carmella over twice.
Yes, so
technically.
So Charlotte is a figure that I think you would say you don't want her to be in the main event picture, but unfortunately, you got really a talented wrestler. You got the full package, and I don't see her being really a person that puts people over. She's a main event talent.
I don't mind her being in the main event picture. I don't need her to come back after getting her boobs adjusted
to be champion,
to then instantly be thrust into the championship match.
See, I'm different. I would like her to have a year-long title reign. I think she's great.
I'm cool with that as long as she fights and earns it.
Yeah.
My whole thing is I need to see the struggle. For me to appreciate you as a wrestler, I need to see you struggle. When Bret Hart won the championship, I was so invested in him as a character because he had to fight to win that belt. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, you go back to when Sting took the belt off of Hogan at Starrcade. Sting disappeared for what felt like a year, maybe a little bit more. He would hide out in the rafters, wouldn't speak. I mean, the best babyface on WCW at the time didn't utter a word. He would just show up sometimes, beat some guys up, and then roll out. All right? And then he comes back and he wins the belt. It was a horrible match. And there was a botch spot at the end. All right? We all know.
Yes.
But he won the match. Yeah. There was a struggle there. There was a storyline there. It went on for an entire year. You know, I need to get invested in your character getting to this point. If you're just given this spot, I don't like you. I don't care. That's why I think a lot of fans have so much disdain for Roman Reigns, because Roman Reigns, time and time again, gets thrust into this spot. How many times have we seen Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar? This is at least the 5th time in as many months. Do you know what I'm saying? We don't need to see it again. We've already seen it. And if you win, you win. You lose, whatever. We don't need to see it. Somebody else. Like, I could totally get invested in Finn Balor going and winning this because Finn has even made remarks inside the ring and outside the ring about how he hasn't even had his rematch yet, how he hasn't got his shot to get his belt back that he lost because Seth Rollins wants to do a dangerous move on the outside with the buckle bomb. Hate the buckle bomb. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, somebody like Finn, I'm already invested. I got one foot in the water because I've lived through the struggle with you already. I just don't feel like her getting put into this spot immediately does anybody any good.
Gotcha.
All right, so now it's official. The Miz versus Daniel Bryan. That's going to take place at SummerSlam. I like Daniel Bryan coming in and attacking The Miz. The Miz ends up breaking a flower pot over Daniel Bryan's back. Yada, yada. Build for SummerSlam. I think this is going to be a great match.
Going to be a great match. You got probably the number one heel in the company, The Miz. If Daniel Bryan wins, he'll definitely take the rub off of that and go forward. Mm-hmm. It'll be a great match, one that I can't wait to see. It's just perfect timing. The program has been great. I do wish that the Yes Movement would be a little bit hotter, but it's just not right now. It's just a feud that Daniel Bryan needs to get over to get to the next level.
Yeah, at some point, he needs to try to figure out some way to reinvigorate this character.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what he does, but you're right. If he can beat The Miz, I think this is going to be a hot match for SummerSlam, and I expect it to be a very good match because both these guys are very, very good, especially if WWE can pull some stuff and put together some of their packages.
Yep.
You've got like 10 years worth of stuff to go through. I mean, when Miz was in NXT and was coming up, Daniel Bryan was there, so this could be really, really good. All right, we end up having an awesome match for our main event. It's The Bar versus The New Day. Whoever wins this match goes on to face the Bludgeon Brothers at SummerSlam. So the New Day end up hitting the Midnight Hour out of a Cesaro crossface, which was amazing to see Big E move from a prone position where he has a crossface applied to him with Cesaro basically laying on his back to picking him up and holding him so then the Midnight Hour could be performed. In the end, the New Day beats The Bar. Did the right team win this match? Now, the crowd was very pro New Day.
Yes, they were.
But
I felt like
did the right team win?
I feel like, wow. You know, The Bar and the New Day have had a number of matches, and each one keeps getting better. They tell great stories. It's a very intense matchup. I'm okay with it. I felt like, okay, the New Day won. Now, if they go on to win and defeat the Bludgeon Brothers, I think it would be probably wrong. I feel like the Bludgeon Brothers need to get the rub off of the New Day and further solidify their place on SmackDown. Great matchup. I kind of, at the end, wish there was maybe like another minute to tease potentially the Bar breaking up, because it kind of would have been cool to say, okay, now we have another match maybe that could be on the pre-show, Sheamus and Cesaro renewing.
You want them to break up?
I feel like that's maybe where they're going to go with it, because where are they at? I mean, it seems like with the time off, what else are they going to accomplish? There's a lot of tag teams.
Yeah.
Do you go off with the feud? I feel like you could elevate Sheamus into some big main event stuff. Sheamus and Cesaro are both big guys that can be main eventers, and sometimes
they both do great work.
Sometimes a tag team runs its course. They've been around now, and they feuded before. Maybe they could break up and just not feud with each other and just go off in different pictures.
That's weird, because I didn't even think about them breaking up, because I enjoy them so much.
They're a great tag team. They're a great tag team, but where are they going? I feel like they're right in the mix. They're not being used right.
That's why I almost feel like it was the wrong move for the Bar not to win.
Right.
Because New Day can do a lot of different stuff.
Right.
And New Day does do a lot of different stuff.
Right.
And we've had rumors that Big E was going to leave New Day.
Yes.
So you could have went ahead with that storyline.
Sure.
And give the bump to New Day. But I don't know what's going to happen here. And I think you're right. I think at this point, the Bludgeon Brothers need to come away from SummerSlam with the win. They need the rub from the New Day.
Exactly. Now, one other point from SmackDown that was definitely obvious, that's why I feel like SmackDown was a really high-quality show and a great 2 hours, was AJ Styles comes out and he answers Samoa Joe, and he's pissed. He's not happy. The promo was pretty scathing, and he said, look, I'm surprised that Samoa Joe would talk about my family, especially with the history that we've had, but fine, you'll be next on the list. And he ripped a scathing, angry promo, and it was really good, and it's just building. The feud's building. They have a history. It's going to be a great match, and it's nice to take a few from the past and put it into 2018 WWE SummerSlam. To me, that match, in terms of title picture, feels better than Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, so I can't wait for that. I just can't wait for the feud to continue to evolve, and AJ Styles and Samoa Joe are going to have a payoff. They're going to have a great match.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a great match as well.
Overall, SmackDown was great. Just a
great
great 2 hours.
Really, really good.
Awesome. Good finish. Good matches. Very few things that made you go, the 2 hours helped them out too. So for me, SmackDown was better.
I was totally invested the entire 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
And with Raw, I'm invested for a half hour.
Yeah.
Then I kind of tune some stuff out for 15 minutes, and then I'm back, and then I'm gone, and then I'm back.
Yep.
And it's just kind of what it is.
Exactly.
So I agree. SmackDown wins.
The verdict is SmackDown wins the week again.
All right, so news and notes. Big Cass, like I said earlier in the show, is returning back to the Indies. He will be wrestling under the name Big Kaz.
Big Kaz.
C-A-Z-Z.
That's not the. I guess that could be.
It could be better.
It could be better, but it could be worse too. That's not bad. It still reminds people who you are. But a guy like that sells himself.
Yeah.
He'll do okay. I do see him returning with a different attitude, with a bigger name. He needs some time in the Indies.
All right, so John Cena has dropped 16 pounds after working with Jackie Chan's training team. He will also be returning to the ring for what appears to be a one-off on September 1st. WWE will be in Japan, and it appears he's going to show up there to help sell some tickets. Some news that happened, I believe it was, Monday, Tuesday, Sunday? Kane ended up winning the mayoral election in Knox County, Tennessee.
Mayor-elect Kane.
Yes. Weird, right?
Yeah.
Sami Zayn just had his second rotator cuff surgery repair, so he's rehabbing. Total Bellas has been renewed for season 4, so you're excited.
Yeah.
All right. And Johnny Impact, a.k.a. Johnny Mundo, dislocated his elbow on a photo shoot for Muscle and Fitness. And I'm not sure if you've seen pictures of Johnny Mundo or Johnny Impact. I mean, the guy is shredded. He was all oiled up, and he was performing a move for the shoot, and he slipped on the oil and dislocated the elbow during the shoot.
Bad day.
So rumors are swirling that Rey Mysterio, and we've been talking about Rey Mysterio forever now, but Rey Mysterio will be signing with WWE after the All In event on September 1st. So we might see him, we might not. The big holdup with Rey Mysterio coming to WWE was he wanted to work a part-time schedule. They wanted him to work a full-time schedule. Not sure who's going to give and who's going to get here, but apparently Rey Mysterio will be coming to WWE after September 1st. Speaking of September 1st and All In, so everybody is aware, All In is going to be televised. At least the first hour will be televised exclusively on WGN America, which doesn't really surprise me. I'm not sure if it surprises you. WGN is owned by St. Clair. St. Clair owns ROH. The majority of these wrestlers are all ROH wrestlers. That being said, you can also view the pay-per-view on ROH's Honor Club and on the Fight app. So if you are interested in watching All In on September 1st, mind you, this sold out in 30 minutes. 10,000 seats sold out in 30 minutes. You can catch the first hour on WGN America. You can then also catch it on ROH's Honor Club, which is their streaming app, and the Fight app. And then finally, this is what I wanted to put a pin in, Dean Ambrose. It appears Dean Ambrose may be involved in SummerSlam. His return is near. They're just trying to figure out what they're going to do. Mind you, he had that tricep injury, which required surgery. Surgery didn't go as well as planned. He had a few complications while he was rehabbing. It appears that he should be a good to go for SummerSlam. Now, I could totally see him teaming with Seth Rollins. More to your point, before Dean Ambrose got hurt, he was supposed to be the member in the bar who was supposed to turn on the other two, being Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. So, do you see Dean Ambrose coming back for SummerSlam, number one? And then number two, do you see Dean Ambrose leaving a heel after coming in a face?
Yes. If not, if he doesn't return the day of SummerSlam that evening, I'd say the next night. The next night would be a nice, if there's a shakeup, you have him come back to a nice pop, you give him his own segment, you set the course of what you want to do with him going forward. But I do think his character needs a boost. I think you move away from the crazy guy, just hardcore wrestler, just a little bit angry, move away from crazy, move toward angry and destructive. A little bit of psychopath light like Randy Orton. Just give him an edge, maybe all black, just somebody that says, hey, I've been, going through things. I've missed it a long time and I'm ready to take care of business. You walk down to the ring. He has that music that just leads you to walk down the ring, strictly business, doesn't need all this promo gimmicks, just goes in, kicks ass. And I do think if you rehabilitate his character properly and he gets over or gets booed as a heel, then you got another guy that's in the title picture.
I have a question, because I can't remember off the top of my head. Is Renee Young on Raw, or she's
on Raw?
She is on Raw too.
I think she's on Raw and SmackDown.
Okay.
Yeah, she's universally working.
See, because everybody knows that they're married. So I
yeah.
wonder how that interaction would go. Like, would he be a total jerk to her too, or would he be nice to?
If you want to,
I wonder how it would work.
After a while,
Maybe
everybody's
you just don't have them in the same shots.
No. I say that with how Renee could be utilized, you could up her sexiness. She could definitely be the valet.
Ooh,
be his valet.
So move her from she's your best female interviewer.
But you don't, you don't really need that. That's like a lower emphasized thing for me is who interviews. You can just have anybody do it.
She's so good at what she does,
Yeah, she's
especially
good
on
at
the
it.
Raw pre-show or the SmackDown pre-show, the pay-per-view pre-shows.
Yeah.
She's awesome for those. I don't know. Interesting. All right, some quick Matt Hardy news before it gets lost in all the notes I've got here that are scattered everywhere. It appears Matt Hardy may be retiring as his pelvis and lower back are starting to fuse together from repeated leg drops from the top rope. It was earlier in his career that was one of his finishing moves with his brother. His brother would basically do a frog splash. He would do a leg drop.
Dude's 43. He's getting older. It's that time, man.
It is being reported by Dave Meltzer and some other wrestling news organizations that he's going to attempt to work through this and work through the discomfort, and he's going to try a new stretching routine, and he's going to try to limit a lot of the stuff that he does in ring and try to put the retirement off for as long as possible.
And even if he does, you know what? He'd be a great valet for Bray Wyatt. Just a guy right behind his corner. If you just need work an injury or something, a storyline injury for like 3 or 4 months, let him heal up. He could definitely be a valet because he's got a good character. And some guys, when you have a character, they can do vignettes, they can be part of the show, and so they just don't have as many great character managers, and Matt Hardy would be great.
And he's an awesome mind.
Yeah, he's an awesome mind. He'd have great bits. He'd have great promos. I think, sometimes some of these old guys can extend their career 2 or 3 years by being valets to the next generation.
Something I seen in he posted in a tweet that he had posted, and I tagged you in it. I was going through and I was reading some of the comments because sometimes some of the best work is in the comments.
Yeah.
Somebody had made reference to him retiring, coming back, and being the general manager, being the broken general manager.
Yeah, that's true.
Could you see him working as the broken general manager of Raw, basically replacing Kurt Angle? Because some speculation that Kurt Angle is getting set to go on his own way as far as wrestling. There is some rumor and some speculation that maybe Brock stays on for another pay-per-view cycle, and maybe Kurt and Brock reunite and have a couple matches. I don't really believe that or see that. That's why I didn't really want to work into news and notes, but we're here and we're talking about it now. If that was to happen, could you see Matt Hardy maybe taking that role and being that guy?
He'd be fine. I think that would be very entertaining. You could definitely have him make some fun matches and do some things creatively that would be fun, but I just like him better as a performer.
Yeah, I like him as a performer too.
Yeah. All right, good show this week, man. Good recap. We're building towards SummerSlam 2 weeks away.
2 weeks.
Big time event. I think it's going to shape up to be a decent card, but man, I think it's going to be a 7 o'clock start. Huge time.
Oh, it's going to be like, go to like almost midnight.
5 o'clock pre-show maybe. Yeah, it's going to go a long time. Big day.
Yeah.
All right. For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Beast, John Macroon.
I like that.
Ready to deliver. Talk next week, guys. Thank you.